They get to take chances, they get to try things, they get to see what works, what doesn't work, and really feel successful when something does work.
Anything I needed from the company was given to me within 24 hours. Everyone is just so friendly and willing to work. And like I said, it's very rare to say to somebody, here's what we need. We need, it to be this many hours for this many students, and we need individual kits, and we're going to need professional development, and we need it by this date. And to have all of that just come together and in such a nice way where it's this kind of collaboration and having meetings and talking about what would be best for our program and our students, it's really just incredible to find.
I mean, I'm really looking forward to hopefully extending it next year for our students and making it a bit of a longer experience, even if it is buying more modules and stuff, just because I think that the students really benefited so much from it rather than the traditional summer school experience that they already had.
Let's figure this out together. Let's figure this out together. Thank you, thank you, thank you. I get to start day 2 with just some gratitude. Super, super grateful for the National Inventors Hall of Fame. A great partner, connecting world-changing innovators with today's youth, without question. I'm just appreciative of everybody who's on the line right now, live and direct. Feeling very grateful for all the time that we had yesterday. And if you feel some of that energy from yesterday carrying over to today, that's by design for sure. And so we welcome back more than 1,300 people who registered for the Summer Learning Bootcamp. And we know that we have some folks here live and direct, but we also know that there's going to be a lot of folks listening to these recordings. So we appreciate, if you listen to this as a recording, you taking the time to be present with us. We know that you're getting ready for your summer programs right now in this moment. We know many folks have signed on to the mantra of getting started with their summer planning in September. So at least if you put your flag in the sand back in September and started thinking about what this summer of 2024 is going to look like, feel like, and sound like for families, you're on the right track. We had a spectacular day yesterday, and if you missed it, those recordings will be made available shortly, as well as all of the resources that were mentioned in the chat. The chat is a rich place. Dive in there, grab as many links as you can, and grab all that knowledge that's in the chat for sure. We have 2 more hours of the boot camp, without question, filled with resources for your summer planning. It's going to include practical strategies. Let me go ahead and say again, practical strategies, tactics, techniques, tips, and resources, more ways that you can imagine on how you can truly involve young people in the process of their own growth and development, as well as more. Some tips and even some self-care. You can't, pour from an empty cup. So once again, making sure that you all are also okay as you go out and serve. So again, the important topics, we're going to continue to beat this drum without question. We want to elevate academic learning. Summer learning experiences are academic learning experiences, folks, to just tell you. It just doesn't look like the regular, traditional school day or traditional summer school. We want to promote curiosity, this eternal creativity that we all have in some way, shape, or form. And we also want to dive into this idea. We know we can't do this by ourselves, and we can't continue to operate in silos, and that young people traverse all of the systems that we have to support them. And so how do we build those cohesive partnerships that's rich and full with individuals that are ready to figure out how we leverage each other's best, and how do we push each other towards continued improvement in the space.
STEM sports.
Definitely want to make sure that we
this is
thank
Jeff.
our sponsors. Jeff, go ahead and throw your thing on mute there real quick.
Yeah, sure. Yeah.
Because I'm
sorry,
gonna go
an email back to you, but I got that voicemail to you. So now
we got it. You know how this works. We appreciate Jeff. We also want to thank our amazing sponsors. This would not be possible we're offering this boot camp at no cost to you, but it doesn't mean it doesn't cost. Certainly costs. And so we appreciate the Wallace Foundation, waterford.org, STEM Sports. Shout out to the Achievery. I'm going to vibe a little bit more about my friends at AT&T and the Achievery, the San Francisco Human Rights Commission, as well as our federal partners at the U.S. Department of Education. Engage every student. But today is awesome because we have a special guest coming here up front, live and direct on the call, Nabila Charity. Nabila, so happy to be with you. Like we go back a little bit here now. So if I seem a little giddy, it's just because being in your presence during that summer, fill my cup for sure. And I know you got a lot of the experience as well. So not only in the internship, but I know your life has been shaped by some extraordinary like summer learning experiences. Could you tell the audience a little bit about some of your experiences in the summer learning space and maybe some insights you might have for us?
Of course, and it's so nice to see you too, Roderick. I'm pretty giddy to see everyone here as well. Hi again, my name is Nabila Chowdhury. I'm a junior at Harvard University studying philosophy. Last summer, I was a part of National Summer Learning Association as an intern at Senator Markey's office of Massachusetts. I was also a part of the award-winning summer program Math Corps in Detroit, Michigan. A lot of my life has been surrounded and created by summer programming. I don't think I could have gotten to where I am today and hopefully pushing forward into the future without summer learning. Like we were just talking about, it's incredibly crucial to have these opportunities for students. I can only speak for myself, but last year, having the opportunity to intern at Senator Markey's office in Congress was an absolute dream come true. I think coming from immigrant parents, I think it's a growing dream to have your child walk into the steps of Congress and kind of like be a part of the legislative making process. But it also, with these resources and these privileges, a lot of demystifying also happened for me on the steps of Congress. There was a lot of hopes that I had, a lot of dreams, like I was saying. And having these opportunities for summer learning isn't just about figuring out what you're going to do moving into the future, but it's also equally important to have the opportunity to figure out what you don't want to do moving into the future. That's a privilege in and of itself that a lot of us don't have the affordance to have. And so in that way, a lot of my future is being shaped by NSLA.
Amazing, amazing. Thank you so much for that reflection. So I'm stopping. I'm pausing for a second because I'm thinking about so many folks who had this kind of experience during the summer. Like, to what end? Like, what does that add up to? Like post that internship experience. Like, what are you doing now, and where do you want to go? Like, what do you want to do with all this?
Thank you for asking. I think a lot of these conversations, like you were saying, like taking a pause, really reflecting, I think that's something that I had to do as well. And obviously, as like a 20-something-year-old, it's incredibly difficult to believe that you have your life figured out moving forward. So I won't pretend that I know all of the answers because I absolutely don't. But I hope to be moving into a career in law. I aspire to go to law school, and that was something that I actually started to believe in. My dad really wanted me to go to law school for a really long time, but I always told him like, Dad, like, I don't think that's for me. I don't think that's something that I want to commit to. But through NSLA, I had the exposure of meeting someone named Jonathan Smith, who works at the Department of Justice. And a lot of those conversations surrounded around equity, justice, morality, ethics. And I'm a philosophy major. So a lot of those conversations I'm already interested in and having in my curriculum already in school. And kind of merging those two and realizing that there is a place for the things that I'm passionate about, specifically working with the First Amendment, its constraints, its affordances, and hate speech. I think it's a really relevant topic, especially in the time that we're in now, under certain genocidal regimes, epistemic bubbles, echo chambers. It's a real problem, especially the UN highlighting a specific task force for hate speech. And so that's one of my aspirations that I came to realize through NSLA and my work with Math Corps.
Totally. I appreciate that. I'm also a child of immigrant parents too, so I know how to, parents, when you come in, they have all kinds of guidance for us and aspirations and dreams, and to be in a space where you can actualize those that come from inside is pretty amazing. So thank you for sharing that. And so this boot camp once again has like 1,300 folks that are registered. Folks are thinking about all kinds of plans and hopefully bold ideas for this summer. Hopefully they've created those in partnership with the young folks. But as a person who's participated in many summer programs, do you have any advice for the people who are actually in planning mode right now?
Absolutely. I think, well, again, I'm not going to pretend I have all of the answers. I know all of you have incredible backgrounds in this. I know there are teams curated to creating a really beautiful atmosphere for students coming in for the summer. But one thing that really tied together my summer experiences, regardless of what organization I was a part of, I really think it was compassion and empathy. And to just hit on Math Corps for a little bit in Detroit, and we have different chapters around Michigan, and hopefully we can move out. We are moving out of the state as well, and we can continue doing that. But one of the core principles of Math Corps was really loving and believing in kids. And so I had the opportunity to not only be a student in Math Corps, exactly that this is the support signal. And what that basically means is when someone speaks and is talking in front of a group of people, it can be really nerve-wracking. So the people around you are in consistent support, and you're silently kind of showing that empathy and connection to another person as they kind of bare their soul in front of a lot of people. Those are some of the core principles I grew up with as a child in Math Corps, and then having the privilege of being a high school teacher and then becoming a college instructor. All of those opportunities and those feelings of compassion, empathy, shared connectedness, being in community really stuck with me. And I think that's exactly what NSLA did. I felt a lot of feelings kind of going into being an intern in Congress. It was a goal that I've always aspired to complete, but it was also something that I was realizing, I don't know if this is a space that I wanted to stay in. And there's a lot of complex feelings that come associated with that. But having a community, a family that I could lean on, and oh my gosh, and NSLA was really important. And being there for one another, really solidifying like a feeling of family, friendliness, compassion is incredibly important.
Thank you so much. Building community is certainly one of our pillars. So to hear that was part of your experience for sure, definitely warms me up inside for sure. Thank you so much, Nabila, for being here with us today, sharing your reflections and your insights with over 1,300 folks that are registered from all over the U.S. That's inspired by your story. And I hope to see you connect with this next cohort of congressional interns so that they can learn from your experience and be coached by you. So thank you for being here with us today.
I really hope so. And thank you so much for the opportunity. I think you, Broderick, and Aaron really created a loving atmosphere. So I'm really appreciative and grateful for the opportunity you all have given me. Thank you for allowing me to come speak to everyone today.
Absolutely. Thank you. Fantastic. Fantastic. I don't know about you, but this has been a visceral, emotional experience for me this last couple of days on this boot camp. If we could just pause for a moment, because that was a lot. And if you want to get into it and send some love and support and empathy for everybody who is speaking on these boot camps and folks that are on this call today, let's take a lesson from Math Corps and just take a moment. Fantastic. Fantastic. Now we want to share a little bit about one of NSLA's newest partners. We believe very strongly in partnership. And so Waterford.org is a tremendous program for early learners. And here's a video to learn just a little bit more.
Who is Waterford.org?
Hi guys, this title of the book is Dr. Frogs. Anyone to read it with me?
We are an education not-for-profit that believes every child deserves equitable access to high-quality early learning.
How old are you, Ella?
4.
How many is that?
1, 2, 3, 4.
And she's getting so good at math now. She's getting so quick at it. It's kind of fun to watch.
What is Waterford Upstart?
Blue shirt, red shirt. That's a pattern. Here's another pattern. 1, 2, 1, too.
Waterford Upstart is an early learning program used anywhere a child learns, whether that's in a classroom, a child care center, or at home.
Click on lowercase l.
Lowercase l.
The lessons are interactive and proven effective. Children receive a personalized experience in reading, math, and science that's done in just minutes a day. What are people saying about it?
It's amazing at how he's picked it up. He couldn't verbally spell his name before he started. 2 weeks in, he was walking around spelling his name.
I am seeing huge gains in her comprehension.
I think it's beneficial to our kids. Honestly, it's a great stepping stone for them to have that advancement in school, and it helps the teachers out as well, because then they get these students that already know things that are so basic to them that they can go ahead and advance them even further.
What's included? Coaches are available with tips on how to continue engaging children when they're not on the program.
I call her my BFF, Tiffany. She's unbelievable. She's always available. She calls me once a week, and she says, if you feel like you need to call me throughout the week, feel free to do so. The support that we get from her, it's really outstanding.
Data shows you how your child is progressing in their learning journey.
Honestly, I just didn't think it was real. I kept thinking, okay, what's the catch?
And if the child does not have a computer or the ability to access the internet, that will be provided as well.
To me, it's a one in a lifetime opportunity. If you sign up to learn, we're going to provide you with the tool to learn on that you can keep for your family. Like I said, in 21 years, I haven't seen that type of program.
Best of all, kids love it.
Yeah! Yeah! I'm so proud of myself!
Why are you so proud of yourself?
I made a whole ABC!
The whole ABCs on Waterford?
Yeah!
All of these happy faces now have the educational foundation to continue learning with confidence.
Hope to see my channel again. Bye-bye.
Register today at waterford.org/upstart.
Thank you. Thank you for that. I'm so looking forward to learning much, much more about Waterford in the future. So we thank you so much for your partnership. So let's continue on this journey as I get to be again the tour guide along in this boot camp. Part A yesterday, part B today. But right now in this moment, I want to welcome Jackie Towson, co-president of the Lavinia Group, to lead the next panel. We appreciate you, Jackie. We appreciate your leadership as well as your partnership. So take it away.
Great. Thank you, Broderick. Nice to be here today. Welcome, everyone. My name is Jackie Taslim. I'm co-president of Lavinia Group. We're an organization that supports high-quality K-12 instruction in literacy and mathematics through professional development and curriculum, and of course, our summer school program. And so I am happy to be here today. And on this panel, we will explore innovative approaches and collaborative strategies to enrich the educational experience for students during the summer months. And our esteemed panelists, who you can see here up on the screen, will share insights, experiences, and practical solutions aimed at maximizing student success and bridging the gap in learning opportunities. So we're going to start off with some introductions. And so, like I said, I'm Jackie Taslim, and I'd like to turn it over to Caitlin Hannon to take a moment to introduce herself.
Hi, everybody. My name is Caitlin Hannon. I'm a partner with Building Impact Partners, as the screen says. We are a philanthropic advising firm. So our firm has supported the design and implementation of the Indy Summer Learning Labs based in Indianapolis, which are now expanding statewide throughout Indiana. Summer Boost, which was designed by Bloomberg Philanthropies. So that initiative has been in New York City, as well as several other cities throughout the country for the last 2 years. And we've just started embarking on year 3. And now Summer Discovery, which is in Math Corps is there in Detroit and the surrounding counties. By the end of this summer, we will have helped get $200 million in philanthropic resources out into the summer learning space since 2021.
Great. Thank you, Caitlin. Happy to have you here. Next, I'd like to introduce Andrea.
I'm the Research and Program Associate for STEM Next Opportunity Fund. STEM Next is a national nonprofit driven to provide quality STEM programming to young people in the out-of-school time space, especially focusing on youth of diverse backgrounds who traditionally have been underrepresented in STEM fields and in STEM careers. We set big goals because we believe STEM is everywhere and should be for everyone. We focus our efforts on after-school and summer learning opportunities because kids spend 80% of their time outside of the traditional school day. Informal learning opportunities through after-school programs, summer experiences, libraries, museums, and more, flexible and innovative spaces to spark excitement, creativity, and collaborative STEM learning so more students can engage in STEM and learn about STEM careers. STEM Next efforts are systemic in nature. We bring together like-minded individuals and organizations passionate about out-of-school STEM to make a big impact. Our most successful venture to date has been the Million Girls Moonshot Initiative, which at the midpoint of this 5-year initiative has exceeded its goals by engaging 4 million youth, 2 million of which are girls, and quality STEM experiences within 110,000 after-school and summer programs across every state. By leveraging the 50 after-school state networks, the Moonshots' no-cost trainings, resources, and curricula have already been disseminated to 250,000 out-of-school time educators through the initiative's collective impact approach. I'm excited to be here with you today to share more about these opportunities as you plan for the upcoming summer.
Great. Thanks, Andrea. Happy to have you here. Next, we have Catherine.
Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Catherine Bassett. I'm the CEO of the New Jersey Tutoring Corps. We are a nonprofit organization located obviously in New Jersey. We have over 70 sites that we are working with currently this school year, over 3,200 scholars. Our field staff consists of tutors, site coordinators, and instructional coaches. And right now we have 256 field staff working with us. We look at ourselves as a program that provides academic support for young children. We call our children scholars. So for young scholars in grades kindergarten through 8 in both literacy and mathematics. We do this in an embedded school day model during the school year where we are pushing into classrooms after school, both during the school year and during the summer, and then summer programs. And in our summer programs, in addition to partnering with school districts, we are also partnering with community partners like the Boys and Girls Clubs of New Jersey, in this case. We are in 18 of 21 counties. We are an organization that believes in partnering. We believe in relationship building, both among our scholars and their tutors, and among our organization and our partners. So we're very excited to be here today. Thank you for having us.
Great. Thank you, Catherine. And then we also have Dr. Barbara Jenkins.
Hi, pleasure to be with you today as well. We actually retired about a year ago from Orange County Public Schools, 210,000 students. I was superintendent for 10 years, had some pretty good outcomes, large organization with 13,000 teachers, 24,000 employees in total, and about a $5 billion budget. And so I am especially sensitive to the role that superintendents have in providing quality summer school programs, and so happy to be here. Currently, I serve as the chief in residence with Chiefs for Change. It's a national organization that advocates and helps develop leaders and superintendents across the nation. I should mention we also have a Women in Leadership Special program as well.
Great. Thank you, Dr. Jenkins. Okay, so we're just going to ask a few questions, have a conversation here, and hopefully this will be really fruitful for everyone here on this webinar. So the first question that I have is, how can we really provide programs that effectively elevate academic supports and accelerate learning during the summer? So how can we do this? What are the key pieces? And I'll start with Caitlin Hannon to speak about her experience and thoughts here.
Sure. So I think, obviously a lot of the folks here are on both sides, the academic side and the sort of enrichment side. I would say that what we've seen in our experience is particularly in the summer where a lot of even post, probably pre-COVID, but also post-COVID, summer is not particularly well attended. We've seen that, the use of enrichment in addition to just the academic supports, the high quality academic supports, is really critical because kids can't learn the academic content if they're not there, and they come for the enrichment and the fun stuff, not for the academics. You got to get the academics in there. I think obviously having, engaging curriculum and really good teachers is critical too, and I'll talk more about that in relation to some of the other questions. But the biggest hurdle that we've heard from people when they say they want to do summer is people say we can't get kids to come. And so looking at the barriers, because nobody's going to learn anything if they don't show up. And so what are the ways to get families there, both from a transportation perspective and then also offering programming that makes the kids want to show up to their school building at times in the summertime.
Great. Thank you, Caitlin. Andrea, can you speak to this question as well from your perspective?
Sure. So we'll go down the list. So I wear the STEM hat, of course, and the Million Girls Moonshot Initiative. So prior to the launch of that initiative, STEM Next convened scholars and practitioners to co-create the 4 transformative practices, we call them, that guide every offering that STEM Next extends to the out-of-school time community. So lots of details and resources on these transformative practices are in the Million Girls Moonshot Toolkit, which we've linked you to. And incorporating those practices into STEM programming has shown to increase student excitement and interest in STEM and STEM careers, as well as contribute to them building a STEM identity. So those transformative practices that we love to see show up in programming, the first one is making STEM accessible to all. In the Moonshots Toolkit, we offer a framework that's outlining research-based strategies that invite youth of all backgrounds to engage in STEM, so learning environments are accessible to all, skill-based, and youth-centric. That second transformative practice, fostering an engineering mindset, which is a series of attitudes, values, and thinking skills that equip students with 21st century skills to be tomorrow's leaders. So programming that encourages students to solve real-world problems, work in teams, persist, and learn from failed attempts are all practices that, when offered in programming, help cultivate that engineering mindset. The third transformative practice in programming, providing access to role models, mentors, and giving families a seat at the table. Students need to be exposed to mentors who resemble them. It's been found to foster a young person's STEM identity, and parents and caregivers have been found their involvement in their child's STEM engagement is the most impactful way to sustain a student's excitement and engagement in STEM. So strong STEM programming, leveraging these great people within communities and beyond, is so important. And finally, the fourth transformative practice, creating STEM pathways and transitions. So one exciting STEM opportunity, like a coding class or a 4-H summer camp, is awesome. It can spark a child's interest in STEM. But how can we work collectively to connect that young person to another STEM experience so that they can engage in STEM again? And again, continuously, in order to nurture an interest and motivation in STEM. So these transformative practices aren't really complex. They're likely happening in programs already. But when they're meaningfully integrated into STEM programming, as they are in all of our moonshot opportunities that are in the toolkit, the impact data collected indicates that youth are more excited about STEM, have greater interest in pursuing STEM careers, and as a result, have a quality out-of-school time STEM experience.
Great. Thank you, Andrea. So it seems like these are connected, right? Both of these ideas, and that we need to have really high quality, compelling, engaging programs, which give kids a reason to come every day, because we know we have to have that in attendance in order to really see the academic growth being elevated. Catherine, what would you add from the perspective of the New Jersey Tutoring Corps?
Make it fun. So I'll never forget walking into one of our Boys and Girls Club sites during the summer and seeing one of our tutors, Mr. Pete, going to pick up a group of his scholars. And as he walked into the room to pick up his group, a bunch of other scholars are saying, Mr. Pete, isn't it our turn yet? Can't we come now? They wanted to go to tutoring. They had coding, they had swimming, they had, you name it, they had it. They wanted to go to tutoring. Why? Because of the relationships. So we follow the Annenberg Institute's recommendations for high impact tutoring program, which means small ratios, small tutor to scholar ratios, 1-to-1 up to 1-to-3, really giving time to build those relationships, get to know one another. Also frequency, meeting with your scholars 2 to 3 times a week, duration 30 to 60 minutes, and then consistency, the same scholar working with the same tutor throughout the program. So in this case, throughout the summer. I think also the materials that you use, using high quality instructional materials that are fun. So in addition to materials like iReady and all of the packages that they offer, we also offer Fun Factor, which is a math program through the Overdeck Family Foundation that they give to us for free. And it is just so much fun. So when you walk into one of our tutoring locations, it's not going to be a quiet place. It's likely going to be a noisy place because learning is fun and it's loud. Did I answer your question, Jackie?
You did, Catherine. Thank you. And so, Dr. Jenkins, what do you have to add to this? Really, from your perspective as a former superintendent running large-scale summer school programming, how do we effectively elevate the academic supports and accelerate learning over the summer?
Sure, I certainly agree with my co-panelists. So honored to be on the same panel with you. I have to just say plainly for those who are listening, for so many years, resources for summer school have been not always well invested. I don't want to say squandered because I think people have good intentions, but the results have not been outstanding in some of those investments that we've made for summer school. And so I would encourage those who are responsible for making those decisions to be extremely careful, look for and invest in programs that are research based and proven, programs that have results. It's too late. You cannot experiment and have fun all day and hope that's going to help children read better. That's not how it works. Science of reading is very clear. We have research. We have to base our decisions on the research and on what the data is telling us. And a couple of things come to mind. Post-pandemic, now more than ever, we have to be concerned about student achievement, about student learning. We will not help close those gaps that were exacerbated during the pandemic if we don't concentrate on academics. But we also know that 1 in 5, I believe the last article said 1 in 5 children are chronically absent during the school year. And so don't expect them to show up during summer school. That's a struggle to start with. And we've got this attitude now that school may not be as important to be in attendance face to face as it has been in the past. And so attendance is going to be an issue. So every school that's offering, every district that's offering a summer program has got to balance some enrichment, something that's going to draw children and keep them coming back. If you try to trick them, they get in there the first few days and they realize this is just going to be tutoring all day, they will not come back. And so I really love this notion of balancing enrichment and encouraging those young people to remain in the programs that are going to help them academically. And then we need to make sure those programs are being held accountable so that they actually are showing some increases in student achievement. Proven programs. Don't ask teachers to start from scratch and come up with an enrichment program for the summer. They are exhausted too. You won't get enough teachers to teach the program. Give teachers the support and the programming that they need to do a really model program that's going to show results for our young people. And lastly, I would say, so summer school used to be, you got to really pinpoint, give them the tricks so they can pass the test. That's not enough. We have got to move from just tricks and skills to really trying to push for conceptual and transferable teaching. Help children learn and gain the tools that are going to help them be successful for the rest of the summer program and into the next school year as well. It's got to be conceptual and transferable knowledge that we're dealing with, not just a few skills and drills and tricks to pass a multiple choice test.
Great. Great. Thank you, Dr. Jenkins. And thank you everyone for your response there. And I think, this theme of summer school has to be engaging in order for kids to want to come and to have a really meaningful experience. And when we say engaging, it means engaging through authentic, rigorous enrichment opportunities, as well as through the academic side. So I'm hearing you have a math program that is engaging and fun. The problems kids are engaging with are high quality, hands-on. That's the kind of programming that it seems like we need in order to have a successful summer school. So when we think about districts and community partners, how can they work together to ensure students have an aligned experience over the summer? So how can those districts and community partners work together? Caitlin, would love to hear from you.
Yeah, sure. I think, in our experience supporting sort of creating programs from scratch, we did a lot of things, Barbara was talking about, which is let's build some structure around things that we know work, right? And I think there's been historically, and maybe less so, I feel like if there is any benefit coming out of COVID, I think people were forced to talk to each other a lot more. And I feel like there was a time, and I say this as a 40-year-old, like I remember a time where it was like, summer is our thing and the school year is your thing. And like, we're here to give kids fun and you're there to teach them. And like, there's not space for collaboration. And I feel like that changed a lot, particularly, given COVID and the need for kids to just have pod experiences in community-based sites and all of those things. That's actually what the Indie Summer Learning Labs were born out of. And so I think it's really about talking to each other, starting early, and really saying like, where are we at our best and where are you at your best, and how do we create a great experience for kids by both leaning into that instead of trying to do everything for everyone. Barbara, you mentioned, and you mentioned, asking your teachers to do academics in the morning and then stick around and come up with an enrichment curriculum when they're like, I want to go sit by the pool when I'm done earning my summer paycheck. It doesn't make any sense when you can partner with the YMCA or the Boys and Girls Club or the local community center and have them doing the stuff that they're great at and really used to doing. And then I think like that's the most basic level. And then I think the elevated level is actually looking at that curriculum and thinking about what are the themes over this 5 weeks. Are we going to be reading stories about kids being brave? Are we going to read stories about like coming of age? And how could some of those themes be infused into some of the enrichment activities? It's like, how does leadership show up in the afternoon enrichment curricula? How does the idea of like overcoming challenges or finding, discovering who you are? Like we all remember the magic of summer for a lot of us when we were younger, and we heard from someone today that talked about a much more recent experience than certainly what I have. But it's like, how do you take both like that magical experience of summer where kids get to have fun and be creative and learn those real life skills like entrepreneurship and STEM and all of those programming, but connect it back to this is why it's important to be able to read. This is why these stories of kids who've come before you and learned these things have been able, this is why it's connected to what you're doing in your afternoons or on your Fridays when you go out in the community and volunteer. Like there's so many ways to engage kids in the community that they're in with the organizations that are there to support them, their families, depending on the population you serve. You may serve really high needs populations and they get the opportunity to engage and their parents get connected to community resources. So I think by starting out just talking to each other and saying, here's where we feel like we're really good, here's where we aren't good, like, is that a place you can fill in? We'd all be in a better place in terms of what the final product ends up looking like.
Yeah, that's great. And I think it's if we're leveraging the expertise and the resources from both the districts and the community organizations, it's just going to be that much more meaningful of an experience for children instead of trying to force fit things together that don't quite work. Andrea, what would you add to this conversation?
I would say Caitlin's points are spot on, and the connectivity is so important. And the question ties really nicely to that STEM pathways and transitions to transformative practice I spoke to earlier. So like trying to move away from those one-time like random acts of STEM to providing young people with continuous pathways to engage in a variety of STEM experiences can sustain or grow a student's interest and motivation to potentially turn a STEM interest and send it into a STEM career. So that notion of pathways and transitions in mind, each state has an after-school network that exists and serves as connectors and conveners. STEM Next works closely with each state's after-school network to disseminate quality STEM resources, but additionally to support this pathways work so young people can receive warm handoffs from their school day and into those informal learning environments to help make continuous learning come alive. So tapping into your state's after-school network to understand the current work and to collaborate together to align experiences is a great way to start to continue bridging that gap between the school district and the community partnership learning pathways.
Great, thanks, Andrea. Catherine, what are your thoughts on bringing the community-based organizations and the schools together, and how can they support one another and work together?
Well, I think in a one-word answer, beautifully. They can do this beautifully. However, there have to be high expectations set on both sides. So when we are working with a partner, we have both an MOU and a data sharing agreement in place so that we both understand what is New Jersey Tutoring Corps bringing to the table, who are we bringing to the table, how are they qualified, what materials are we supplying, What are we asking you to supply in turn? Typically, we're asking our partners for internet access, appropriate space. Please don't put us in the gym and give us a corner of the room and expect tutoring to happen effectively. It's not going to. So these are the kinds of things that we need to make clear up front. So having those high expectations, having not only common goals, but a common vision. You can have common goals, but how you each intend to get there can be very different. So building that common vision, I think, is also very important. And I'd like to mention two things that I don't think we focused on yet. Yes, we're talking about accelerating academics, but a huge piece of that is accelerating SEL. So how are we helping our scholars to learn to believe in themselves as learners? I believe I can learn. I believe I can teach. I believe I can help others learn how to do what I learned how to do today. This is a very important part of our program. Also, I wanted to bring up that not only are we at the New Jersey Tutoring Corps growing scholars, we are also growing educators. So we are bringing educators into that pipeline during the summer through our pre-service education partners. We are keeping educators in classrooms by offering teacher leadership opportunities as site coordinators and instructional coaches. And we are also building a potential apprenticeship pathway. We have just been approved by the U.S. Department of Labor as an apprenticeship pathway. I believe the first tutoring program in the country to be so approved. However, it's interesting, there is no term tutor in this program. And so we will be bringing people in as substitutes right now until we can get that tutor term approved. But I think it's the relationships, the building high expectations, the common vision, the common goals, and understanding that it's not just quantitative, it's qualitative as well.
Great. Thank you, Catherine. And Dr. Jenkins, anything else to add here?
I agree with what all of my colleagues have said. I would add, if there is a possibility of making the programs seem, at least appear to parents to be seamless, there may be two different organizations who are providing the services. A parent is looking for someone to watch their children from the time they go to work until they get off. And so a half-day program that then the parent left trying to figure out what to do with the child in the afternoon is not going to be attractive to many working families. And those communities that are marginally served to start with really are at risk for needing full-time, full-day services. So co-locating a program on the same campus is useful. It's seamless to the parents. They don't mind who's running which program as long as their children are being taken care of. And I think there's an opportunity for us to really partner with parents saying, hey, we're here to help your child be successful. They've had some struggles. We've got a plan in place. Here's how you can help at home. But we're going to work together to make sure Johnny, Doris, Enrique are ready for next school year, even better than they were at the end of this past school year. So co-location is helpful. If there's no co-location, then perhaps there are funds available for transporting the children from their program that's academically based to the Boys and Girls Club or to the YMCA, whoever might be partnering. And certainly having grants available and dollars so that parents are not overly burdened, or they will look for a no-cost solution, such as the city's recreation program. And I just have to tell you one example, Jackie, when we had city trying to do a good thing, keeping children off the streets during the summer. And we witnessed, and others told us, they had young teenagers trying to be supervisors over some of those younger children. Beautiful computer lab. They had a grant. They had wonderful computers. The children are in there doing tumbling and cartwheels and everything else in the computer lab as a 20-year-old, maybe 19-year-old was supervising them. We provided a couple of teachers. Let us help you with that portion of the program. They were so thankful. Oh, thank goodness, thank God somebody's going to help us, because they really didn't have the expertise to put the programs in place. Had good intentions. Computer lab sounded like a great idea, and children thought it'd be a great open wide space for flipping and tumbling. And so partnering with the city of Orlando in this instance, and others, and sending a teacher to actually help work during that time for our young people so that they can have quality experiences in the afternoons was essential and really turned that program around. So I think there are opportunities for partnerships and for providing expertise where it might be lacking. And I will tell you, most of those organizations are hungry for, tell us what we should be doing. How can we help connect with you to make sure children are at least benefiting academically while we do the enrichment part as well. I love what Catherine said earlier. Children were so enthralled with their enrichment activities, but then they were like, when is it our turn to go to tutoring as well? When we enhance those relationships and partner with parents and wrap our arms around young people, we will see greater levels of success.
Great, great. And just building off of this one point, I think, a common theme that I hear with those trying to run summer school programming is, where do I find the teachers, right? So you mentioned in this case, right, they had these 19, 20-year-olds who didn't have the skill set to do the teaching. Any advice, how do we recruit teachers over the summer and get them to want to participate? And then, how do we support them, given the various levels that they might be coming in at? So either Dr. Jenkins or Caitlin or anyone can chime in here.
I have one brief thought and then I'll be quiet. So teachers who teach summer school sometimes are looking for financial reward, but also that they're doing something meaningful. But if they're exhausted and if you ask them to try to come together and scrape together and put together their own programs, it's just not the best use of resources, nor will it get the best results for young people. And so I think summer school is a prime time to have professional development for teachers where they can grow in their trade and in their expertise as well as they are teaching. I think of a particular program that did like a summer camp where they're training teachers, but they actually have students in place as well. The opportunity is twofold: help the students and help the teachers, give them the tools and the expertise and grow them professionally over the summer as well. And that kind of program is offered. I know Lavinia Group is very insistent on that professional development part of summer school.
We are, yes. Caitlin, please.
Yeah, so this was going to be my piece of advice, which is figure out a way to make it easy for your best teachers to say yes. Like, don't treat summer as the time that let's get a breathing human into a classroom to keep kids. Like, that is not the time to lower the bar. You want to get the best people you can, which means paying them really well. Across the programs we've run, teachers have been paid $10,000 for 5 weeks of work, and they work half days. And so that is significant in a lot of districts, maybe not all districts, but thinking creatively about like renegotiating hourly rates with your unions if you're subject to a union, having the community-based org hire the teacher so you can pay them more, because sometimes your union doesn't want to pay them more for whatever reason, and so having them be employed by the community-based partner, having that curriculum like Lavinia's Rise or another one that is off the shelf, comes with professional development, is super engaging for kids. You're not going to be sitting and doing drill and kill, and the kids are going to be engaged and excited. I answered this in the Q&A because they see themselves reflected in the literature. It's story based. It's not, it's not worksheets. And so those are the things that I think, keeping the schedule so that teachers only have to be there a few hours a day, I think is really critical too. And so for us, like what we have seen across the board is making it attractive to your best teachers to be able to say yes to doing it, giving them the flexibility that I feel like oftentimes teachers don't get during the school year, I think is really, really critical to get the most you can out of that short period of time of 5 to 8 weeks.
Great. Thank you, Caitlin.
And I would add training, training, training. No one in our field staff, tutor, site coordinator, or instructional coach sets foot on a site until they have been through extensive training. That training is not only training in the curricular materials, although that's part of it. It's also training in our SEL protocol, in work-life balance, in organizational culture, in so many different facets of working with children in the summertime and working with one another. So training is key. You can hire the best people in the world for your program, but if they don't understand your program and they don't know how to implement your program won't succeed.
Thank you, Catherine.
Things that are great training and easy to use opportunities are really the way to go for summer learning.
Great. So I see Broderick here. I think our time is up.
Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Please join me in thanking this just amazing panel. We appreciate so much your insights. We appreciate your partnership and all that you do in the space to create access to high quality summer learning and out of school time experiences for families. I'm just going to go ahead and give you the universal hand clap and heart hug for sure. Thank you so much. We appreciate you.
Great. Thank you for having us.
Absolutely.